Hello and welcome to Red-Blue Rift Control. Before we start, I'd just like to say I'm having some trouble posting these videos in the groups, so if you'd like to get regular updates, please do subscribe and hit the bell icon. I'd also like to give a huge shout out to Pascal Maynard. He actually gave me this list and he destroyed me with this deck. So a huge shout out and thank you to him. I do believe this list started being played in his store in Canada. If you'd like to go there, it's called the Mythic Store. They have a website. He also told me they do have regular Premodern events. And as you can see, they have a Premodern section on his website. So big thank you to him and thank you for the list. So our deck is built around Lightning Rift. Whenever a player cycles a card, we can pay 1 and shoot something for 2. So cycling is an ability that we can pay a mana cost, discard the card, and then draw a new card. So this works really well in a control deck because we can get rid of our useless cards and get something new that's potentially much more useful. But with Rift, we can also get value from that too. So our deck is full of cycling cards. And of course we're playing counterspells. We have 4 of the regular counterspell as well as 4 miscalculation. I think this card is awesome and I actually play it in just my other blue based control decks, but here it's extra good because we can synergize with Lightning Rift to get some extra value. So we're playing 4 of each of those. We're also playing 1 of each of these. So I love Forbid in those mid-range kind of long games where we can turn those extra lands that we draw into counterspells. Complicate, I'm a bit dubious about, and I think I do remember Pascal saying he's kind of a bit iffy about that one too. For removal, of course, we have Lightning Rift. We also have Grim Lavamancer, which is excellent in this deck as we're cycling through a lot of cards, so it always has stuff in the graveyard. We also have Spark Spray. So in Premodern, a lot of things have 1 toughness, so it's not too much of a drawback. And of course it cycles and we can shoot something for 2 with Lightning Rift, so that will take care of a lot of stuff. We're just playing a one-of Slice and Dice as kind of just an extra cycler and a sweeper. Because we're drawing a lot of cards from cycling, we will hit these one-ofs slightly more often than you would in a regular deck. And for card draw, we're playing Standstill. It works fantastically well with cycling, and it also works well with manlands, but we'll get to that later. And of course, Fact or Fiction is an amazing card draw spell. We're also playing that, and it really helps us to dig through our deck. So moving on to acceleration, we are playing Mox Diamond, and the reason why is if this deck can accelerate out quickly, it can really just make some absolutely devastating plays. We're playing a lot of lands, so we really don't mind discarding them. For example, we're playing 4 of each of the red and blue cycling lands. So these are some of our specialty lands. We're also playing Dust Bowl to destroy non-basics, as well as some manlands. So the manlands, of course, go really, really well with Standstill. And as a red-blue deck, we're of course playing mountains, islands, and Shivan Reef. So nothing really out of the ordinary here. For the sideboard, we have Phyrexian Furnace, or really anything to take out graveyards. Of course, we have the red and blue Elemental Blasts. Those are some of the best sideboard options you can have. We also have a Null, which is pretty much a staple in almost every blue sideboard, as well as Overload, which is a staple in basically every red sideboard. So really just quite standard red-blue good stuff here. For options, there's quite a lot of cards that have cycling. These are some of my favourites. I definitely think Starstorm is an interesting choice. This deck really doesn't play too many sweepers, although I will say Pascal is a really good player and he's definitely tested this deck a lot. So the opening hands we're looking for would be similar to any control deck really. We just want answers for the early game so we can survive and just let our card advantage engines take over. When playing it, ideally we'd really love to make a turn 1 Lightning Rift or Standstill. That can be absolutely devastating. A turn 1 Standstill, it's just so hard for other decks to play around it, and of course it works incredibly well in our deck with all the manlands and cycling cards. In the early game, we use Rift to clean up annoying creatures and take down those key creature threats. However, in the late game, we'll switch over to blasting our opponent. This damage can really add up if we have multiple Lightning Rifts or if we have manlands attacking as well, and we can really turn the tide very quickly. So when playing against this deck, because we don't have too many sweepers, go wide strategies such as a turn 1 Lackey into a Siege Gang can be difficult, as well as very fast creatures such as Phyrexian Dreadnought or perhaps a Dark Ritual into a Hypnotic Spectre. That's because our deck doesn't really have any fast answers for that. It usually takes some time to get our engine going. Also, enchantment removal is obviously great against things like Lightning Rift. And so we're definitely a control deck here. In basically every matchup, we're trying to control the board either with Rift or counterspells, stopping those key threats. Well, it gives us time to just build up a critical mass of cyclers and then just kill our opponent over a few turns. So the strengths of this deck would be it's very versatile and consistent with all those cyclers, it has a great sideboard with lots of good options, and it has excellent mana. Some of the downsides would be the weak removal, especially when compared with blue-white control decks. Go wide strategies could be a problem as we don't really have many sweepers. Some combos such as Storm can overpower our counter magic, but that's also a problem for the blue-white control decks too. And so here's an example list, and as I mentioned before, this one was given to me by Pascal Maynard. You may struggle to find this one on TC decks, but I know Pascal has had some great success with this list, and it's super cool, and I can't wait to try it out. So again, big thank you for giving me the list, and as always, if you enjoy these videos, please do like, comment, and subscribe. I always try to check the comments, and thank you for watching. See you